Hey everyone, welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. We are recording this after the Monaco Diamond League wrap. We wanted to wait to get that meet in before we did today's podcast, and we are so glad that we did. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack with his Quick Reaction podcast. He just plugged in his mic. He's ready to go. We saw a world record. Gordon, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Can I be a confession? You ready for a confession?
Sure.
It's the first time I've watched a Diamond League from start to finish in a long time. You know, a lot of times I come into a Diamond League late. I miss like the first few races, or I just see it only the highlights because I'm just like doing something that day. Because a lot of times it's in the middle of the afternoon and I'm not glued into every single Diamond League. But when you're in the middle of a pandemic and there's not a lot of track, you're going to get your popcorn ready for a meet that had a lot of interesting events in it. It wasn't like the Impossible Games or a Garden Clash. It was an actual legit track meet with fast times, fast people. And it didn't, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Monaco. You couldn't ask for a better meet to have.
Yeah.
Like that is a meet that if that happened any other year, you'd say that might have been the meet of the year.
If you were living on a different planet and had previously lived on Earth, so you were aware of what the Diamond League was and how professional track operated, but then were brought down to planet Earth on this day, August 14th, and you turned on the Monaco Diamond League, other than the fact that you saw a partially empty stadium and you saw people checking in on the infield like it was a high school meet, you would have not known, I don't think, that there was anything amiss about this year. Maybe you would have been like, hey, why are some of these sprint fields not that deep? But when you look at the times, when you look at the headlines, and we look at how quality the fields were, this was as good as a legitimate Olympic full year type of meet.
I mean, you could say it had maybe 6 legit results on the track. And by legit, I mean results that could like hold up for an entire year, not just like a blip, but like, I mean, and it wasn't just based on being fast. Like, I mean, we can start with the first race that I was surprised with, the men's 8. I mean, we could talk about the men's 800 with Brazier and
Let's
that
start with the world record.
but we should talk about the world record first. Bekele's 12:37 from 2004, 16 years gone. And we talked about this yesterday on the pod about, I mean, I was at least skeptical because I was thinking, hey man, you're not even close to the 12:30 range or even the 12:40 range, not even low 12:50 range. Why can you break a world record? And then I was like, let's compare what Bekele was like. Bekele wasn't close to the world record before he broke it. He broke the world record with a massive PB and then went on to have his notorious career. And Cheptegei, for all the talk that like, hey, you're just a 12:57 guy. Who are you to say you can break the world record? I mean, he's someone who can just do it in a workout because it looked like that. He timed his watch at the end. He was getting his watch splits. He wasn't relying on the automatic timing. He's like, I got to keep checking my own hand time. I mean, I was super impressed.
He was just clicking off this. Here are the splits: 60, 61, 60, 60, 61, 60.9. We'll round that up to 61. 60, 60, 60, 60, 59.9. And then he closed in 59.64. Looked like he had a little bit more there. You're right about our pessimism about the world record pre-race. I went back yesterday. I cut the clip out. I posted on the website. It's still on the website. It's still pretty high on the website. So I'm guessing people are going to click on that and they're going to be like, wow, you guys are idiots. And I cut it right before you went into that interesting analysis, which was, hey, maybe we shouldn't just be looking at the fact that his PR is in the high 1250s. Maybe we should look at what the previous guy did before that. And you actually said by the end of it, you talked yourself out of being so strong on the side of he's not going to do it, because you said, hey, this guy, he's kind of like Bekele. This mirrors in many ways what Bekele did. Had some international success, obviously Cheptegei with the gold medal in Doha. Bekele was on the scene, but not nearly the dominant runner that we knew later on, you know, in his career after that point, and then made that big jump down to the world record. We should have listened more to that because this looked so smooth, Gordon. We should have probably paid more attention to a 12:51 on the road and said, hey, 12:51 on the road, you're going to chop off some time once you get onto the track.
Yeah. I mean, Bekele's PR going into the world record was what, 12:52 on the track, right? I believe it was 12:52. Maybe he ran at 12:49 indoors. But okay, 12:49 indoors. He was low 1250s. And it's so weird to like think about it. Like it makes sense after the fact. But I was surprised how like easy it was. Were you surprised with how it did not look like he was straining? It looked like he was en route to a 10K race. That's what the way it
Yeah.
seemed.
That's how the greats always make it look. Unless, especially if you're by yourself towards the end, if there's another person, maybe you see a little bit more strain because you're comparing their facial expression to their opponent, or you're able to get out that last level. I have no doubt he went to the well, but this thing was so well paced. Props to the rabbits here. Props to the pacing lights. They kept it on, so that way he didn't really need to do a huge acceleration. I know when the rabbit stepped off before 3K, he actually picked it up, and that's when I thought, okay, this thing could be on at this point. But I'm with you. It makes me think now this record, right? Bekele's record stood since '04. How long do you think this one's going to last? Because it doesn't seem like very long.
It doesn't, but again, it takes cojones to go for it, right? And it takes specific situational track meets because, like, think about it. Kind of makes sense to kind of go for a world record this year because there's no need to be in race shape, like tactical racing, and that's all out the window. You don't need to prepare for peaking for an Olympics. You can just prepare to peak for a time trial. That's a big reason why Bowerman were able to run all their fast times because they're not thinking about trying to figure out how to get through rounds and just the strategic of racing different people. You could just think about like, hey, there's no rules. You just go out there, run as fast as you can, and see what happens. And
it's in mid-August.
And it's mid-August, right? So it's hard to have a time to. I mean, I guess off years is the best time to do it, right? Where because typically you're at your best in August, right? If you're peaking for a world championship or for an Olympics, but no one is trying to run 12:35 at the Olympics. They're trying to run, kick in the final 2 laps in the Olympics. So it kind of makes sense that it happened. And I don't know how long it'll. I mean, I like to think that like once you see a world record, you think, oh, he could just do it again, or someone else is going to want to break it. But it took 16 years for Bekele's to be broken. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 10 that no one's going to attempt it. I don't know. And if they do attempt it to run like 12:45, I don't know.
So 4 flat average is a 12:30 for 5,000, and he went 12:35. He's essentially running 4:01ish and change on average. But those last 4 laps were 60, 60, 59, 59. So he was right at 4 minutes, if not a bit. It's just staggering when you put it in that context, and you think, okay, to go faster than this, the next step up is literally you're gonna have to see a 5K worth of 4-minute miles, sub 4-minute miles, to get to that next level. Like the bar is very high now.
Yeah, if we're talking about like weird ways to have like races, if you have elimination races where every lap someone is eliminated. What if you had a race where if your time is not under 4-minute pace after every lap, you get eliminated? So like, see how long can you constantly stay under the 59.99, 159.99, 259. See how long you can keep doing that until you get to 2.5 laps, 12.5 laps and run a 12:35K. But I mean, it's so weird to fathom like 60s for 12 times in a row. It's just like, imagine doing like a 12 by 400 workout where you're trying to run 60s and you have like 2 minutes rest. This guy got it with 0 rest. It's just like, it's insane.
I hope, just like we talked about with the Bowerman people, we hope that they race more, and I hope Cheptegei races more. 26:17 is Bekele's 10,000 meter record. Maybe he'll take a shot at that, because Bekele ran that. Well, he ran his 26:20, which was the world record at the time, and then got improved the year later. But he ran that in 2004 as well too. So if we're going to continue the Joshua Cheptegei 2020 equals Bekele 2004 idea, then let's get him in a 10,000. Let's get him in a 10,000 ASAP and see if he can break it. But I was, again, blown away. I didn't think he can do it. I thought the women had a better chance at the world record, although that clearly was not in the cards. That race, a little wonky. Helen Obiri still got the win. Sifan Hassan dropped out, so they were not in the form that Cheptegei is. But we've established Cheptegei now as you have to believe what he says. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to go for the world record," and then it's it's nowhere close. I'm going to take everything he says seriously now. Like all of his pre-race predictions, if he says he's going to win a gold medal, if he has a Netflix show that he's a big fan of and he says is good, I'm going to listen to everything Joshua Cheptegei says from here on out.
I mean, I was also thinking from the perspective of Bekele. Bekele was so close to having all three world records at the same time, right? And it's just like now he's never going to be able to have that, right? Because he's not going to come back and break a 12:35. But that was like, I'm sure on his mind, he was thinking, all right, 5:10 marathon, 5:10 marathon. And now it's just going to be 10 maybe marathon. It's just like, it's so.
Better hurry.
That's actually a good question now. Like, because people would say Bekele, greatest distance athlete of all time, right?
Yeah.
But now, if more and more people start breaking his world records, he lose the time? Because a lot of people look at Bekele and look at the times, right? And you could, I mean, no one wants to debate. This was a debate that we had 2 or 3 years ago, and everyone was like, it's a stupid debate. But you have Bekele, Gebrselassie, and I would argue Farah with the domination of winning every single title he entered. But like the more and more Bekele's times become less relevant, the more and more you want to pick the greatest of all time based off of championship performances. And again, Bekele has his fair share of championship performances, but
yeah,
I mean, Farah won the 5:10 double like 6-7 years in a row. It was insane.
Hey, well, yeah, 10. He's 10 golds. So 10.
Yeah.
2 hands. I'm yes. I guess if this does usher in more people running near that time, which you're saying you think the time could go for 10 years, and that sounds reasonable to me too. I also could see a couple other people sneaking under it, and then you're like, well, he's the 4th best of all time now. What does that mean? Well, not nearly as much cachet as having the world record. But you do have to give credit for the fact that the world record stood that long. I want to see if he has some MJ in him. Like he's watching this race, and then he's like, and that's when I knew I had to go. That's when I knew I had to drop 50 on Joshua Cheptegei. Like he comes back for Tokyo next year, just out of spite, just because he loves those records. That's important to him.
It became personal for him after the Monaco Diamond League. Became personal. Dude, you gotta watch out for Kipchoge's like, damn it. Damn Lillard, he misses 2 foul shots, and then he goes on to score 150 points in 3 straight games total. And everyone just is like, all because of the 2 foul shots. Kipchoge's like, damn it, Bekele is gonna be lit on fire in the London matchup because he's like, I can't just have one world record. I need multiple. So I think the person who is most most worried for is Cheptegei because Bekele is going to be out for blood.
He's going to get the collateral ricochet of like, oh man, Cheptegei had to do that to piss off my opponent that I now have to race in London. Yeah. All right. There were a bunch of other highlights here. Let's run through them real quick. We mentioned the 5,000 before. Hassan DNF dropped off at 4K. Obiri passed Gidey on the inside, ran 14:22. They made a big deal about this in the broadcast, but she won by so much she could have passed her in lane 8 and it would not have mattered. It wasn't like a tenth of a second separated them by the end. Jessica Hull, Aussie record in 4th, 14:43. And then Shannon Rowberry, someone who you mentioned in the pre-race preview, Gordon, 14:45.
Yeah, I think I said she is 14:45. Didn't I say she would run 14:45? I think I did.
That might have been the one thing you got right. I just focus on what you got wrong, which was Cheptegei.
Yeah. I was like 8:40, 4:02, 1500. You're 14:45. I mean, Shannon Rowberry is now
second best time ever.
Is 100% Olympic team favorite.
Okay.
I think she's a favorite for top 3. Not favorite to win. It's still Schweizer. But like, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to bump Shannon Rowberry down to 4th place in the U.S. trials. It's just harder and harder to do that after she keeps on running faster and faster times.
And the depth in that event for the U.S., when you take indoor and outdoor, the amount of women that have run 1450 or faster is just astonishing now between Houlihan and Schweizer, Cranny, Frazier, Frericks, and now Robbery. It's ridiculous. Let's talk about these men's middle distance races. Let's start first with that men's 8. Brazier 143.51. Pace was a bit slower than I thought through the first 400, only 50.5. And then Brazier made a move with 200 to go. And Bryce Hoppel, who we brought up yesterday, and I said, how's Bryce Hoppel going to do when he doesn't have to run 800 races? Turns out pretty good, Gordon. Turns out you can run Bryce Hoppel anywhere and he's pretty good.
Were you saying 800 individual races or 800 meter races?
800 races. Both.
Oh, okay.
I was saying both because he ran every DMR, every 4x4, every Kansas dual meet last year. This time he opens up in Monaco, and he's the story of this race. I'm sorry, because I mean, Brazier 143.1, that's expected to this point. We expected him to get to win. We did not anticipate Bryce Hoppel being 8/100ths behind and taking over a second off his PR and moving him to number 7 U.S. all time. Did not see that coming from Bryce Hoppel.
And I honestly think Bryce Hoppel's finish is like the best thing that's ever happened to Donavan Brazier. Like, I think if Brazier was just running so much better, I mean, you saw what he did in that 335, where it just felt like a man among boys, right? And he just seemed like he just is in his own category. Like, it's done. It's a wrap. Just like, it's like Noah Lyles in a 200. Who cares? It's Noah Lyles will win, and then we'll move on. And I think seeing a fellow, not just international compadre, but an American compadre run right up with him is perfect, because that means he's not going to be able to just jog through trials. He's not going to be able every time. You want that. You want that second person to push someone great like Donavan, because I think if Bryce is constantly on his heels, that's going to make Donavan be like, hey, being a 143 flat guy, 142 high guy is not enough. I need to start being a 141 guy if I want to just like dominate the U.S. and world circuit. So I thought it was the best news for Donavan. Just having a young, they're the same age. They're both born in 1997. Like having another young under 25 competitor just to push each other, Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be that moment when Hoppel upsets Brazier, and it's great for the sport, right? To see someone so good like Brazier lose to someone, it's like the Nick Simmons, Dwayne Solomon. However, it's kind of reversed this time. Nick was the better versus Dwayne, but now Brazier's the better versus Hoppel. So,
no, it was really tight those last 50. I did not think he was going to get past Brazier. I just had that feeling that Brazier's going to have enough and he's going to do enough to win, but mighty closer than I thought it was going to be. The men's 15 was ridiculously fast. I'm just going to read out these splits for you, Gordon, because these are drunk splits. These they started happy hour early in Monaco with these splits. 52:59, 58:65, 56:40, and then finishing in a 3:28:45 for Timothy Cheruiyot. Now, Jacob Ingebrigtsen and company didn't follow him at all because they were like, what is this pace? Like this is just ridiculous. Like the lights are supposed to keep you on track. You're not supposed to try to beat the lights. That's not the point of the lights. Ingebrigtsen just chilled and then ended up latching right onto Cheruiyot, and sort of in a similar Brazier Hoppel dynamic, he was breathing down his neck and goes 3:28:68, smashes his old personal best of 3:30:16 and gets that European record there. So a big race for the youngest Ingebrigtsen.
And even also for Jake Whiteman, who also had a 2-second PR. I mean, he ran 3:29.
He was under 3:30. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Cheruiyot, again, like you said, he's won every race since 2019, or wasn't that big of a? Yeah, since 2019.
I did say that.
or 6 months of 2020 didn't count, but I mean, I think Jacob Ingebrigtsen's going to beat Cheruiyot in the next 2 years at a world championship stage level. So I think Cheruiyot's going to lose either the Olympics or the 2022 world champs, or 2022 world champs.
Bold pick. Bold picks.
He's
I like
coming in, man. He's like eventually it's gonna get nipped, right? Especially in a 1500. I feel like there's a lot more chances for air in a 1500. I mean, but Chariot doesn't really mess in the 1500. He just goes. So he's not like, I don't think Chariot's going to go out there and do a Centros-esque Olympic championship run, so.
Were you left with the same question I did after watching this race, which was how fast could Timothy Chariot run if he didn't have the world's most bonkers splits? Like he ran 3:28 going that way. That can't be the most efficient way to run.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he goes out, what, 3
Even
seconds slower?
54. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 seconds slower. Maybe he gets something. Maybe he's then maybe he's in the 26 range. I mean, 26 is not that far away, right? That's the world record, right? 26.
Yeah, 26 flat. So if we're talking about historic world records, we've already got rid of one Bekele record. Why don't we talk about Garouge being vulnerable as well too? I definitely think he is, just based on the way he runs. If he has any sort of patience in that first part or gets a little bit better pacing, I think he could do it. Do you want to move over to the sprint side of things real quick?
Sure.
Warholm, 47:10, his second fastest ever. He did what he normally does, which is just blow by everybody in the first half and then not slow down. I saw that he 13 stepped the whole way around. Smart Hurdle people were tweeting that on Hurdle Twitter. Previously, he had switched the last couple to 15. So watch out. Watch out. If he keeps going this year, we'll definitely see something under 47, I think.
I think he's done though, right? Didn't he make it? The broadcasters were making it seem like he was peaking for this being done.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how many time trials and everything these runners are doing in practice, so that way they feel, because they're clearly sharp.
Yeah.
And they're not sharp by accident. They're sharp because they've changed their training and adjusted their training. And I think they've just been at that stage so long that as long as physically they're there, they can mentally get up for the moment, put them on the track, put them in the blocks, and then they can just put themselves right there. Because 47:10 is, I mean, we saw him earlier in the year in the inspiration games, but that was nothing compared to this. This was amazing. A top 10 performance all time by yourself.
And also it shows he was trying, because he could have ran like 48, right, and been fine. What was second place?
Yeah, he definitely could have.
Yeah,
he could have cruised.
He was running against nobody, so like he clearly was trying to put together his like season's best for 2020 to get ready for 2021. So, I mean, if your season's best is going to end up being 47:10 just off your personal best, I think that's a good way to wrap up your year. So, okay, you still got it. You're still in the low 47s. You're ready to go into the next Olympic cycle.
Mm-hmm. Women's 1K, Faith Kipyegon, 2:29.15, almost got the world record in that 1K. Beat Laura Muir. Raven Rogers struggled there. She finished in 9th. Bakali won the steeple. Ortega won the high hurdles. Holly looked good early on and then faded towards the end. We'll see him again next week. Curious to see how he bounces back. Still 13:19, not bad. I want to close out, though, talking about the Lyles show here. I was busy typing up. I only had one eye on it because I was typing up the Cheptegei world record, but 1976 for Noah Lyles.
It's great. America's birthday, right? Plus 200 years later. 1776.
Oh, 17. Okay, I didn't really understand what you're saying. I was like, it's August 14th, but okay.
No, I mean, it was obviously the little not gimmicky, but interesting thing was the fact that it was the first time the two brothers were in the same race at international competition, and they go 1-2. It's great. I mean, Josephus, a 400-meter guy, running 20.3. Good for him. But so it was kind of cool seeing a Lyles back in 1 and 2. But 1976, I think, is good. I mean, he's definitely, I feel like, just kind of cruising through this year. I don't think he's trying to be try to PR. I mean, maybe he will, but like, it just seems like he's playing it better safe than sorry. Like, he's just so talented that a safe and sorry season can have a 19.7 be your season's best. But
yeah,
I guess he's realized, maybe coaches realize, hey, you just want to stay healthy, stay a little bit sharp, but you don't need to be razor sharp, and just kind of cruise through the season, get some paychecks for appearance fees, and then get ready to go in 2021.
Well, who are the guys that can push him in a 200 now? It's Norman, and maybe Kenny B.
Yeah,
and maybe Coleman. Maybe Coleman for a bit.
And
that's
maybe
the list. And
Van Niekerk.
You keep bringing up
He's
Van
done.
Niekerk in the 200. I mean, I admire your optimism that he's going to get back to that level in the 200. I just don't think he's at Norman's. Sorry,
Oh,
I
what
don't think
about
he's
the
at
other guy?
Lyles level. Oh,
The
the
one
other
who got
guy.
like sick. No, he got like sick from Botswana.
Oh, Isaac
They wouldn't let
McQualla.
him on the track.
Yeah,
Wait,
McQualla.
hold on. McWalla, wasn't there like a flu outbreak at Worlds in
Yeah,
2017?
yeah. You don't remember that?
That's so funny to
Wasn't
think about. Like, we're
norovirus, wasn't it?
like, th-
And then he
yeah,
came
but
back.
like,
He had to run the race by himself to qualify. They let him back in. Then he started doing push-ups on the track.
little did
You
we
don't
know
remember
that
that?
was like a precursor for 3 years later for like the entire sports world to deal with that. Like, we were all like, let him run. This is bullshit. Like, we were all talking
You
about
should
it.
be
And
like,
it was
no.
like, this whole thing was sent around like, it's just a virus. It's a lane track. And it's just kind of funny. 3 years later, we're kind of like completely hypocritical on that. It's kind of funny.
Gotcha. Also mentioned Lyles before he raced with one glove in homage to Tommy Smith and John Carlos race his fist before he started that race. I saw him post about it, I think on social media before it got going. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention? I said Lena Irby got a win, 50.5, which I think I said yesterday.
That's
She
great
runs
news for
mid
her.
50s. That's good. Yeah, and a confidence
Yeah.
builder for sure.
And you beat a fellow American who we were talking about is potential gold medal contender.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously, Waylon Jonathan isn't in her best form right now. It's kind of hard for some 400 meter runners to be in their best form, right? But it's great news for Lena Irby. She had a disastrous 2019, if we're being honest, right? Like, after 2018, where you're running 49 seconds, winning an NCAA title as a true freshman, and then you come back and you just aren't the same runner, and you leave school early, you go pro, and even when you're you're kind of still not together. You're just becoming another runner in the group. You're not like the star that you were a year ago. To then head over to Monaco, which is a world-class meet. You win it. You run 50 mid, which is good for a pandemic time. Like, it's got to be good news for her. So she's got to. I could tell in the face. She kind of like that race was like assurance. Is like, hey, 2018 wasn't the outlier. 2019 was the outlier. So it's good for her.
I want to read, before we close out here, Kenenisa Bekele's Instagram post. He congratulated Joshua Cheptegei. He put a picture of himself breaking the world record. It says, I have great memories of running my world record in Hengelo 16 years ago. It is very difficult to run any world record. Congrats to my teammate Joshua Cheptegei for running a new world record for 5,000 tonight in Monaco. But now it is personal for me. Oh, wait, no, I added that last part in there.
Oh, damn it. I was hoping you did. Did you watch
the meet? He has the iPad.
Did you watch the meet on TV or on NBC Gold?
I watched the meet on NBC Gold.
What are your thoughts about the commercial breaks just being black?
Wasn't a fan because there was a world record going on. Not good. I was looking at his split, so I went to the live results page and I saw a 60 and a 60. So I realized he was going to get it while I wasn't even watching him run. And then I texted Lincoln. He must be doing the same thing, which he should be at home on paternity leave, not watching track, by the way. And then he's like, oh crap, I think he's going to get it. And it was very clear just looking at his body language when they actually cut back to him with, I think 3 laps to go, that it was going to happen. But the moment I realized that this is real was when there was a black screen and I was just looking at live results. Somewhat ironic.
Yeah. And then there's moments when you could hear the commentators. Basically, what happened, for those who don't know how their technology works, you would think, why are they showing a black screen? Basically, they were taking the TV feed and their technology, I guess, got mixed up where when they go to commercial on the TV, they didn't set it for the app to go to either continuous international feed or go to commercial. Because if you notice, after the 200, they switched away from the American version of the Diamond League and went straight to the international broadcast, which had no commercial breaks. It was just, NBC kind of mixing up their wires with their stuff. It was kind of funny, though, just seeing the black screen. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. And it's just like,
no. Well, track is back, Gordon. Track is back. That was one indication The track is back. Thanks,
Gotta
everyone, for
love it.
tuning in. The email address, flotrackpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us for this special Monaco quick reaction episode. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.